Football is back. So are the regrets. Week 1 gave us injuries, star players dropping duds, rookies showing up big time. This is Monday's Anxiety. Welcome into Monday's Anxiety, the show where Sunday's games leave you with more regret than relief. Yeah. And yes, it's only week 1. But the anxiety is already set in for most of us, including myself. With my guys, Josh Hudson, Ryan Weiss, I am Jay. Notice there is no Gator because we spit on people and Haktua, and that sucks. That is dumb. Guys, welcome back. We got a lot to unpack from week 1. Before we do, Josh, let's give our friends over at Trophy Smack a quick attaboy.
Absolutely. The fantasy football season is here, and Trophy Smack is where you want all your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. And don't forget to show some love to your commissioner for the thankless jobs they have. So hit the link in the description of this podcast and check out some of the swag that you can get for yourself and your commissioner. And let everybody know who the second most important person in the league is behind yourself. All of it available at trophysmack.com.
What's going on, Caesar, over there in the chat? Millie Mills, how are you feeling this morning, sir? Tampa Bay, how about that? Good to see you bright and early. Good to see you bright and early. Wow, what a weekend of football. Ryan, let's start off with you, and let's talk about these games yesterday.
Yeah. There's so much great fantasy to talk about. I was just so impressed with the numbers, but let's talk about the actual games. Everything goes back to Thursday. Eagles hold off the Cowboys 24-20, a little bit closer than what people thought that was going to be. Chargers down in Brazil take care of the Chiefs 27-21. Mahomes and Kelsey fall in week 1, as does Xavier Worthy. More on that later. Probably the most surprising game of the week. Colts beat down the Dolphins. Colts scored on every drive they had the ball. They scored something. 33-8 the final in that game. What a great game between the Jets and the Steelers. Steelers managed to pull it off with a field goal 34-32 towards the end of that game. Jaguars handled business against the Panthers 26-10. Cardinals did what they were supposed to do against the Saints, but it was probably a little closer at least than I thought it was going to be. 20-13. Commanders and Giants. Giants could not get an offense going. Commanders win 21-6. As Jay alluded, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fend off the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta 23-20. The Bengals and Browns. The Browns continue to be a problem for Joe Burrow, at least in Cleveland early in the season. Bengals do win this game 17-16, but it was not pretty. Raiders 20, Patriots 13, 49ers 17. Seahawks 13, a lot of lower scoring losing teams here. Broncos, again, another game that I thought would get ugly. Did not. 20-12, they win over the Titans. Packers win a divisional game against the Lions, 27-13. Rams 14, Texans 9. And what is probably the game of the 2025 season. After 1 week, I don't know how we're going to do better than this. Bills 41, Ravens 30 on a short field goal at the end of the game from a kicker who was practicing at a high school just a week ago and is now out here winning games. Bills take down week 1. We, of course, got the Monday night game tonight. More on that later in the show. Bears versus Vikings, but it was a hell of a week 1, boys.
Yeah, I just want to correct one thing you just said. You said it was 41-30. It was 41-40.
41-40. My apologies. Yep. That was
first time that score has ever happened.
Scoregami in week 1?
Yes, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, although what they missed, 3 2-point conversions? The Bills did?
Did they?
Yeah, they kept going and trying to pull the game in, and they just could not do it. That's why the final score was so incredibly weird.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was Scoregami too. I'll quickly tell the story just so we can get it out of the way now. My ass went to bed when I thought the game was over middle of the fourth quarter and had no idea what happened until early this morning. So
as that phone is just going ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding,
exactly.
ding. Aye. All right. Well, real quick, we've got a few things in the chat to get to, and then I want to get on. We got to get through this pretty quickly. Millie Mills, he said he started Penix and Pitch yesterday and pulled out a 40-point
There you go.
win.
Love that.
I'll be honest, this is going to sound ridiculous. I forgot Penix was left-handed. Watching that kid throw, I hate left-handers so much. It's so weird.
It was good to see Penix. It was good to see.
He looked good. Like I said, I'm not mad at the kid. But
He looked good, and he got a rushing touchdown, and that was something that we all talked about in the offseason. Like, is he really going to run? Is he going to run?
Yeah.
Okay. He wasn't scared to run.
It caught my eye in this game. Of course, me being a Bucs fan, at the very end of the game, Bijan catches a pass, steps out of bounds. They give him the extra 5 yards. They don't call him out of bounds. They snap the next play, spike the ball. Then the refs go back, remove that play even after the play's done,
which is never supposed to happen.
Correct. Super wild. Neither one of those defenses want to play defense. And that game still did not get out of hand for either one of those. I thought it was a very well played game offensively. The other thing that surprised me was Bijan was more involved in the passing game. Tyler Algier.
That didn't surprise me one bit. The Bucs have always had a good run defense.
Well, this was the thing that surprised me. Not that Bijan was more involved in the passing game, but that Tyler Algiers was the more involved in the running game.
Yeah.
That's because they knew they couldn't do anything. So
well, and the funny part to me was, and they kept saying on the broadcast was, they kept using Bijan in short yardage down near the goal line and giving him the ball, and he was getting stopped. They never used him as a true decoy, which was kind of wild. Dolphins absolutely looked terrible, Caesar.
We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Yeah. Quincy says he was down by 60 and came back with Derrick Henry and Lamar for the win.
I'm pretty sure Quincy might have been playing me because that happened in about 4 of my matchups last night. And I was like, what the fuck? I went to bed thinking I had this dub. So
right. Kyle, I double stacked Allen and Coleman and Shakir. Was 1% chance to win one in, 66% chance to win now.
Yeah, those win percentages are the funniest thing to me.
Great. So we know what Kyle needs for his Monday miracle, or not miracle, but for Monday. Started Scary Terry and Henderson over Garrett Wilson. And let's see if we can do this right, Josh. We've been practicing since Saturday. Egbuka.
God damn it!
That's what I said Egbuka.
Regardless, that would have been my advice as well. You can't predict that one. Maybe not. It would have been my advice. So
CMC is back.
Woo!
The usage was definitely there. Love it.
Yep.
Chris B loves seeing Gator on the screen again. Thank you.
We're glad to be back with him.
Chris off the Bulls already. Get out of here. All right, let's start off with our man of the hour. Who is it and why?
I'll actually jump in here to go first because we needed to talk Aaron Rodgers. And obviously every other podcast in the world is going to start with that game last night. And we probably should have as well, but we kind of make our decisions before Josh goes to work. And I wanted to own up to this. I was someone who needs to eat crow on this Aaron Rodgers thing. I'm not going to tell you, when I was looking at my rankings, I had my hesitations about having Aaron Rodgers outside of, I think, my top 25. Like, I was not in on this guy. And the hesitations were, we all know he sucked last year, but he was the QB 15. I think it was 3,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, which is not bad when you look at last year overall. I feel like I probably screwed up, and in week 1, it certainly looks like I screwed up. 244 yards, so not Aaron Rodgers of old 300-yard game, but 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, and this is a semi-legit Jets defense. Obviously, Rodgers has something to prove, but he proved it. I mean, plain and simple. What I noticed, because that game was all over Red Zone for folks who have never tuned into Hangxiety, I live off of Red Zone. It is how I watch football. I know it's not for everybody, but it is how I watch football. That game was all over Red Zone. He is commanding this Arthur Smith offense. They seem to gel. He understands where players are supposed to be the way, honestly, probably no quarterback has really understood it in this Arthur Smith offense. But more importantly, and this goes back to advice that Club Fantasy had been giving all week long, we were worried about DK Metcalf with the Sauce Gardner treatment. It doesn't matter when it's Aaron Rodgers. He loves DK Metcalf. He is throwing to him every chance he gets. Jonnu is clearly a fit. We knew that with the Arthur Smith offense. Jaylen Warren did exactly what we expected. And as I mentioned, Rodgers protected the football, and that works out great when you have a solid defense. This was an incredible game, but more importantly, my apologies to Aaron Rodgers. I still think he's a terrible human being, but he is clearly a better fantasy quarterback than I was ready to give him credit for.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how much of this was the motivation behind the Jets.
Well, I mean, it was the first thing he said in the press conference.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, exactly. So, like, kudos to the Steelers getting the win. Rodgers taking it personally. How much of that can hold up? He is 41. He looked that age when he was trying to get away from some of the pressures, right?
Oh yeah.
So like, there's plenty of things to be like, all right, let's keep this on the radar a little bit. You're not going to get 4 touchdowns every single week, everybody, and I think we all know this. You're going to get some turnovers that are sprinkled in. What I talked about all offseason when it came to DK Metcalf, his skill set fits perfectly with this team because it is go. It is downfield. It is use the speed. He is one of the biggest, most physical wide receivers in the NFL, and that's exactly what he did. He averaged over 20 yards per reception, 4 for 83. That's great. 7 targets on 29 credited pass attempts. That is a good target percentage. The tight ends, we all like, and Joel's in the chat, like, we've talked about how little Aaron Rodgers in the past has thrown to tight ends. Tight ends accounted for a 31% target share in week 1. They are going to throw to the tight ends because, quite frankly, they don't have much else. But getting Calvin Austin involved, he had 6 targets. They're going to spread the football around. What really surprised me, I think, more than anything was the usage or lack thereof of Caleb Johnson. He has a long way to go. And why we are still seeing Kenneth Gainwell is strictly because of pass protection at this point.
Yep.
That's it.
We said that, though. We said they were not going to let a rookie protect Rodgers, and
nope,
we were right.
Of course, it didn't help that he had -2 yards on his lone carry, Caleb Johnson. So, yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle if you spend a 6th, 7th round pick on Caleb Johnson. And I'm saying that because that was me.
Well, I want to bring up 2 other quarterbacks that also yesterday did phenomenal with Aaron Rodgers, and that's Daniel Jones and Justin Fields. You talk about some players that we were just, maybe not as a whole, but a lot of people were fading because of new teams, the name value, whatever. Between Justin Fields and Daniel Jones, 4. As many touchdown passes as Aaron Rodgers had, they had 4 rushing touchdowns. So give them a little bit of credit as they we'll talk about Miami here in a little bit, but
yeah, I was gonna say, I know we don't want to spend a ton more time on this, but I was also impressed with Fields throwing the football. He was hitting balls to Garrett Wilson.
Much better.
Yeah.
He looked awful in preseason, straight up. He looked awful. He was very efficient in week 1, 16 of 22. And this is really what we said. He's going to hyper target Garrett Wilson. That's exactly what he did in Chicago with DJ Moore. Wilson's going to get his 7 for 95 and a touchdown. Like, if you give me that stat line damn near every week, you've got a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
It's eerie because they're not close to the same offense. But the Garrett Wilson DK Metcalf parallels this season are many. So
yeah, that was an exciting game to watch too.
It was
as a whole.
Like I said, Red Zone was all over that game. I watched more of that game than I watched any other game, and that's for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. Let's move over to, before we get to the unnecessary shot of Rumplements, be sure that you are hitting that like and hitting that subscribe on this video. We greatly appreciate it. Our YouTube is growing, and it's only growing because you guys are enjoying the content that Club Fantasy as a whole is putting out. We have a bunch of shows going on. We're not going to go over all of them at the end of the show, but there is a ton
too many
happening. There is, it's just way too much. We'd spend the next hour talking about the shows that we have coming out. Also, don't forget to join our Discord where we will be talking football and fantasy football and fantasy baseball. And we even have a wrestling channel now, thanks to Hoove. Wanted that, so we added that in there. Yes.
I was not connecting in the Discord. I was like, wait, what is happening? But yes, in the Discord. I was like,
yes. And we'll talk more about the Discord later as well. But let's move over to the unnecessary shots of Rumplements. Josh.
Oh God, where to start? Let's see. Full list. Xavier Worthy dislocated his shoulder on Friday. Jalen Waddle dealt with a shoulder arm injury. He did end up coming back into the game. 49ers, more injuries because this is just what they do. They're a freaking walking urgent care unit. George Kittle, hamstring injury. Jauan Jennings, shoulder injury. Drake London left with a shoulder strain. He's considered day-to-day. Evan Ingram left with a calf injury. And Brock Bowers was dealing with a knee injury throughout the game, although he does say he is fine.
And we hope he's telling the truth.
Yeah, right.
It sounded like Kittle was more of a precaution, but they are going to do an MRI on him and Jennings today.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one because Josh wanted us to highlight, who we thought were the most fantasy significant. And I am legitimately worried about the walking wounded that is becoming the San Francisco 49ers, because you can overcome this for a period of time, but it's getting to the point now where you have Ayuk, who's not playing for a month and a half. Demarcus Robinson, who was becoming a training camp favorite, who's out for, I think, 2 more games after this. I think it was 3 games total. Now you're dealing with the banged up George Kittle, which has always been a problem. Now you're dealing with the banged up Jauan Jennings, which has not truly been a problem, but you were hoping to get more out of him. The concern here is twofold. I've obviously had my disillusionment with Brock Purdy. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to be able to keep them in winning situations when it's getting to the point where he's throwing to 5th and 6th string wide receivers every single week. We saw it this past week. Two touchdowns, yes, but 2 interceptions as well. And then for me personally, and I know for a lot of our listening audience, this worries me for Christian McCaffrey, not volume-wise, but production-wise. If you put this team in a spot where all you have to do is stop Christian McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey isn't quite the guy he used to be, where you can't stop him no matter how hard you try. I'm pretty sure teams can stop him at this point in his career. And so overall, this is an offense that has many fantasy assets, and we're going to talk about one a little bit later, much to Jay's happiness. Ricky Pearsall looked great this week, but what happens when this team is just Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall? And that's why I wanted to highlight these 2 injuries. Hopefully it's going to be fine, but if it's not, it could blow up for way more players than just the injured players.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, these injuries are just piling up. Jennings was dealing with a calf injury throughout this preseason. Calf injury, contract dispute, all that nonsense. Ayuk coming back. Yeah, I mean, really, this offense right now is CMC and it's Pearsall. And we were all counting on Kittle to kind of be that, carrier, so to speak, of the passing game simply because of all the wide receiver injuries. If this hamstring proves detrimental to a point where he's going to miss multiple weeks, like you said, Ryan, that's going to put so much more pressure on CMC, and all defenses have to do is stop them. Is stop him, plain and simple, because while I like Pearsall, I don't think he's a true one. It was my same concerns with Jauan Jennings. I don't think he's a true one. Defenses really don't need to, double team these guys, because they're not going to do it. They're not going to separate. They're not going to, shake and bake and move you off of them and say, look, you've got to throw a safety over top of me. That's what's going to stop me. No, they're complementary pieces. CMC is the guy that you have to double, triple team. So when you're stacking the box, now Pearsall's got to be the one to beat you. He can get deep. We saw it. There was Purdy had a beautiful teardrop right into Pearsall's bucket, but that's going to happen once, maybe twice a game, if that. There's not any level of consistency with that passing game without all these weapons.
And the one thing I'll throw out there, the announcers were glazing Brock Purdy at the end for that touchdown pass. That was the worst fucking pass. That was a Hail Mary for 7 yards. There was no way I watched the play multiple times. I'm not giving him Patrick Mahomes type credit for that bullshit that he got away with at the end of that game. So,
Josh, I know there's one more guy that you want to hit up on, but I want to tell you a quick story on how this happened. It started in the offseason with Taylor and Travis on the podcast, and they planned this. This was absolutely planned.
Don't say that. Don't say that. No, for reference points, when Taylor Swift came on the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce, she got all excited when they were drafting Xavier Worthy. So, of course, Travis Kelce says, I got to take out Xavier Worthy, right? That's essentially where this shoulder injury that Xavier Worthy suffered, Travis Kelce and, the crossing up the patterns, whatever. But look, as somebody who has separated their shoulder over 10 times, I can tell you how big of a blow this is for the Chiefs offense. He's going to be out several games.
Wait a minute.
Already
Time out.
for the next 5.
Time out. Now we have to have stories on how you have separated your shoulder 10 times.
You're a bartender,
We can get to
man.
that off air. Trust me, it's a very long one. But look, they're down Rashee Rice for the next 5 games. There's no real depth behind them. Hollywood Brown did what he could to keep the offense going. He had a ton of targets. He ended up with 10 catches, 99 yards, I believe. But he's not truly anything special at this stage of his career. He doesn't have that same level of go down the field. KC is going to need big-time contributions from Tyquan Thornton, the ghost of Juju Smith-Schuster. All this if Worthy's shoulder keeps him out for an extended period of time. So then you're really relying on Travis Kelce at this stage of his career. They get the Eagles defense next week. They might be looking at an 0-2 start at minimum.
And the only thing I'll add to that, Josh, is something you tiptoed around, but I'll come out and say it, is you said you can't rely on Hollywood Brown at this stage of his career. There were points in that game he looked bad. There were drops. There were routes he was cutting off short that the ball wasn't going where, or he wasn't where Mahomes thought he was going to be. There's a lot to unpack with Hollywood Brown being the leader of this team. And if we're relying on, in 2025, Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, all of the high expectations we had for Patrick Mahomes have to be slimmed down quite a bit. It seems like we're probably just going to get last year's Mahomes again until week 6. You got to throw Millie up. This was literally the words out of my mouth to my wife when I saw the injury. I said, I was going to say Tyreek Hill will be a Kansas City Chief by today, Monday, is what I said to Marlia. And I will not be surprised if it happens after what we saw yesterday. If Tyreek Hill is traded in the next 48 hours, I will be the least surprised human being ever.
Well, here's the problem. The Chiefs only have $2.3 million in cap space.
Well, then there goes that. So yeah,
it's not happening. There's no way that they can get Tyreek's $30 million on the books. Okay. None.
Well, thanks.
They would have to do an absolute massive restructure, and that I just don't see how that's going to happen with a 31-year-old wide receiver.
The salary cap's fake anyway. Let's get over.
Look, I'm not saying it's not fake, but there's still there's ways around it. But sure. when you're making a trade for a contract that's already in place, that's where you really have to get creative.
Yeah.
100%. Let's get over some of these chat questions real quick. Joel jumping in. Bench your studs against the Packers defense. Man, that Lions offense outside of Jahmyr Gibbs did not look nearly close to what they looked.
I'm not one for victory laps, but did I not tell you guys that Detroit was going to struggle on offense, switching offensive coordinators to Johnny Morton?
Well, we saw the struggle, but we also got to give credit where it's due with that Packers. After they traded for Micah Parsons, I went back in and reworked my Packers fantasy defense projections. They jumped up to my defense 4, and that might be low.
Yeah, Micah Parsons, I'm telling you, when you get an elite edge rusher like Micah Parsons, you take a good defense to a great defense really quick.
Well, that tells you everything you need to know about the Dallas defense of last year, because they were ranked in the bottom half.
So they just sucked.
Yeah,
but yet they did pretty fucking well this week. Let's not beat around that, man. Those corners look great this week.
Caesar says he had London, Puka, Waddle, and Kittle get hurt, and he's still won.
I mean, that's amazing.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning.
Joe.
You hit on this a minute ago, Josh. Kenneth Gainwell usage was a bit surprising for Caesar. Joey says Geno Smith with a good game.
He's comfortable. What is different about this offense than what he had in Seattle? And I would say not much. Like this feels the offensive line could use a little work.
Well, and I think more so it's his comfortability with Pete Carroll.
Exactly.
The offense is different. I mean, Chip Kelly obviously was in college in 2024 with Ohio State. So, yeah, a little bit different there. But I think when you're surrounded by people that you're comfortable with, and we all know how much Geno feels like, Pete Carroll is responsible for his sort of resurrection in this league. Because, I mean, he was nothing, except a failed second-round pick before he landed in Seattle with Pete Carroll. So he's now with the guy that basically rejuvenated his confidence.
And Millie brings up, I think Jacoby Myers is an underrated guy. Jacoby Myers gives him a Tyler Lockett-esque target out there. You have Brock Bowers, who does a little bit of everything. You have Ashton Genty, who I think looked good. And I got laughed at. You're not going to be laughing much longer. Dante Thornton, DK Metcalf role. Telling you, watch this.
Yeah,
kid.
he had the big long reception towards the end of the first.
And the body adjustment on that pass was
Trey
special.
Tucker got down the field early in the game for
fast.
I think it was like a 26-yard touchdown. Like, and let's not forget Tucker was second in this team in targets last season.
Yep.
Like they will utilize the downfield threats. That is a staple of Chip Kelly's offense. He likes to utilize the run game to set up the deep pass. That's how Nick Foles did what Nick Foles did when he really first came onto the map. 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like, he looks to throw the ball down the field. Thornton, Tucker, those guys are going to be good at some point this season.
And now you know why he's still a Raider and they get traded, whether they got offers or not. That's exactly why he's still there. Yep. Joe says Kittle injury. We just talked about the Kittle injury, but yes, absolutely killed some folks. That was early too. That was early in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to take my little pat on the back here. Hey, BK. Yeah. Hey, BK.
Oh my God. Smack you. Get the guy's name right. Jesus Christ.
I don't need to. I can call him whatever I want to. He's
as long as you tell people to start him and he scores 2
number one wide receiver. Number one wide receiver. Can we just back up to the Packers game again? Let's talk about the Jayden Reed showed up a little bit there.
Yeah, if you want me to just continue eating crow, I still don't know how long he's going to be able to last. But I started scaring people off of Jayden Reed, and I from my early rosters have so much Jayden Reed that was sitting on my bench this week because I did not have the balls to play him. His role is what his role is. If this is the way the games are going to go, it's going to work out really well. I just hope that foot holds up, but I'm probably
those are my exact same concerns. Like I have a ton of Jayden Reed, not just in Dynasty, but a lot of my early drafts from the summer. Like we all know what his role is. He's going to score 7 to 8 touchdowns. He's going to come off the field in 12 personnel, but when he is on the field, when they're running 11 personnel, they will scheme to get him open.
Yep. And it worked.
They have some weapons on this team. And you know, when you're talking about a rookie in Matthew Golden, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to truly get comfortable in that offense. You have him rostered. That's great. He's always going to be difficult to know when to start, but the foot injury that they've been talking about, referencing a potential Jones fracture, all these things, I was perfectly fine letting him blow up on my bench, plain and simple.
Yeah,
he did. I'm okay with it. I can live with it.
Trade question for you. Offer Adams for AJB. I'm assuming that he's going to be getting AJB, so asking base, are you buying low on Adams here? He's got London, Godwin, Tebow, DJ Moore. His running backs are Henry, Genty, JCM. I guess Bill is how we're going to classify that from now on. Mixon on IR. Judkins, who could possibly play as early as next week. Scattaboo. Monty. Warren is his tight end and Hurts at QB, so he'd be getting the stack here as well.
I'm torn on this one. I have some thoughts on AJB that I'm going to say towards the end of the show. I mean, I guess I'll just get them out now. Obviously, I'm not writing off AJB after 1 week, AJ Brown. Josh, you're going to know this better than me, but I think there are concerns about how the Eagles ran their offense, that it definitely seemed like they want to focus on the tight ends and the running backs, and that the wide receivers, there's going to be more games like this for the rest of the season, then we can't just expect AJB is 15 points from this point forward.
Look, it's a hamstring injury. It is what it is.
Yeah, I didn't even bring up the injury. It's the offense that concerns me.
No, the offense doesn't really concern me much. At the end of the day, they took what the defense gave them.
That's fair.
And that's exactly what they did in the Super Bowl, right? Like the Chiefs said, we're going to take away Saquon Barkley. So what they do? They threw it to the wide receivers, right? Dallas said, we're going to take away the wide receivers. We're going to take away the perimeter. So what they do, they utilize Saquon. They work the middle of the field with Dallas Goedert. That's what's so great about this Eagles offense. They have weapons everywhere. So if you decide you're going to own in on one portion of that offense, they're going to beat you another way. At the end of the day, acquire good players. Both Adams and A.J. Brown are great players.
Yeah.
In a vacuum, I want the wide receiver one, that's A.J. Brown, because Adams is still the second fiddle in the Rams offense.
And I'll give that. I'll tell you right now, just based on a league that I'm in right now, maybe use some guys to go after Jamar Chase. I feel like the Jamar Chase managers are way more worried than they should be. Just throwing that out there.
Oof, that's I guess that's a fair question. You think Hampton or RJ Harvey will be all right? He's got to start one of the two each week. I'll throw this at you. Trevion Henderson, 5.4 yards per carry, 6 receptions, 11 total touches yesterday. How long until he takes over this backfield is probably the main question, right?
Yeah. So I don't think he will. And I think one of the advantages of having Ramondre Stevenson is he gets to take the punishment and Henderson gets 5 yards per carry. I think this is exactly how that offense is designed. Looking at these two, the Jim Harbaugh offense struggled in the run against Kansas City last year. I said that. I called it on our Wednesday show. Amari Hampton would not be a top 25 running back. I'm not worried about Hampton. I'm not worried about RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey broke that long run. They're easing him in. RJ Harvey is going to take the most time of this, but I'm fine with firing either of those two guys up. The only thing that kind of surprised me was how little RJ Harvey was used in the passing game, but they targeted running backs, I think 6 times. He only saw one of those targets. They just didn't target
Tyler
running backs.
Beatty had, I think, 6
so
targets.
Weird. They liked Beatty
really
last
strange.
year before the injury too. I don't understand what's going on with Sean Payton and Tyler Beatty. I like both of these guys. Play the matchups. Whoever has the best matchup that week, play that guy. This week was rough because they both had rough matchups. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing with Hampton, like you said, Ryan, I definitely was not the biggest Hampton guy. For me, it was always Najee Harris is going to be much more involved than people want to believe. Seeing the first week, everybody's jumping on, oh, well, Hampton had an 80% share and blah, blah, blah. He dominated the touches. Can we, remember that Najee Harris, blew out a freaking eyeball because of a fireworks accident in the offseason? He was not going to play this week. Wasn't going to play much. He missed all of the preseason getting ready. So, his usage was going to struggle this week. Quite frankly, it might struggle for the first 3 weeks. So you should be safe with Hampton for at least the first month. But once Najee gets going, this is going to be a full split. And if you don't follow Matt Waldman on Twitter, do so. He did a really good thread on the Hampton usage, how Najee can be worked in once he really gets up and going with the conditioning and all that kind of stuff because of what Hampton does and doesn't do well. Hampton was going to be fine. He's going to see a ton of uses his first week. It's literally the flip of that with Harvey. Harvey's going to get eased in. Right now, he is the Najee Harris for the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
He's getting eased in just without the injury concerns.
With 2 eyes.
Because there's a lot to really need to get going. J.K. Dobbins is the veteran. But Harvey's going to be very well utilized in this offense. If I'm starting these two, it's very matchup dependent, but I'm going to lean more on the volume with Hampton, just with these two. But Henderson's not taking over that main role. He's going to be a complimentary piece all year unless Ramondre Stevenson gets hurt.
Yeah, I think that the writing was on the wall when they signed J.K. Dobbins there.
Yep.
That was going to happen. So, hey, guys, when you have a second, I'm really trying to identify some rookies, some high upside players that haven't popped as trade targets. Maybe you can move Samson after a good week. Anybody you can come up with just right off the top of your head?
I was gonna say the issue is that everybody kind of popped this week. When I was looking for our show sheet, I was like, my God, everybody had a good week. Calvin just brought up Tedero McMillan. I'm going to talk about that offense. Highly targeted. Didn't do a lot with those catches, but if you're in a full PPR league, I guess that's someone I might go after just because of his role in that offense. But off the top of my head, I'm going to be honest, I don't have a trade target quite yet, Josh.
Yeah, I think it's a little early for trade targets when it comes to rookies. I mean, obviously you can go after Emeka Egbuka simply because, he's going to ball, but he's going to be really expensive because of that. Honestly, I would be fine hanging on to Samson. I think he's going to be that guy that's going to be sort of the dump off target for Joe Flacco. I was really surprised that they let Flacco throw the ball 45 times, but when you average 2 yards per rush, that's probably why, because they just couldn't do anything. When you get Judkins back, maybe that changes a little bit. But I mean, if you can't run against Cincinnati, what the fuck are you doing? You're not going to run, period. So we might be in for Flacco slinging it season, but all that means is dump off City to Samson. I would be looking to hang on to Samson. And then if he just continues to pop, then you look to sell him off for, one of those, buy low candidate kind of things. But, we talked briefly about Dante Thornton Jr. That's somebody that is going to eventually pop towards the end of the season. I feel like Maybe you get that buy low opportunity on Tedaro and McMillan. Hell, maybe even Travis Hunter. Like when you look at his usage and kind of how they utilized him, like the targets were certainly there. The downfield targets were not, but that's somebody that I think could truly pop as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, somebody we've already talked about Reed a little bit, but let's throw a little love to QJ who popped off on Thursday, right?
I think he's still the wide receiver 1 for the week, right?
Let's find out.
It's not CeeDee Lamb. It's not, I'm sorry, it's not Brown. And it's
no,
not
Zay Flowers and Keon.
Zay Flowers and Keon took it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, how about that? Let's I want you to talk about QJ in a second, but QB1 on the week, Lamar Jackson.
Makes sense.
RB1 on the week, Derrick Henry. Wide receiver
Actually,
1.
Josh Allen's QB1 on the week.
It depends on your scoring, I think.
Yeah, for the most part it does. But yeah, it's they basically have the hat trick over there in Baltimore right now and still got the L. So I'll let you talk about QJ though real quick, Ryan.
Oh, I mean, I love everything I saw from the Chargers offense. I really just need to leave it at that. It's Justin Herbert took everything that was given to him. Do I think this is QJ every week? No, but I was someone who was saying this guy scored 8 touchdowns last year. I don't think his role changed. Everybody fell in love with Trey Harris. By the end of training camp, it was very clear Trey Harris was not going to be a major part of this offense. I did think Keenan Allen was going to hurt the amount of targets heading QJ's way, but if you're scoring 2 touchdowns, it doesn't matter.
All right, let's get through a couple of these real quick. Right, it says 10-team PPR. He scored 91 points. He's got Knicks, Achane, Hubbard, Chase, Brian Thomas, David Njoku, Marvin Harrison Jr., Waddle, McPherson, and his bench is Downs, Gordon, Drake May. Should he make any moves or just hold? I think at this point it's just week 1.
Exactly.
Hold.
I'm not going to tell you to make any moves, and Josh is going to calm you down about Bo Nix a little bit later, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't fret too much.
Do we drop Najee Harris for a tight end if you have Kittle?
I mean, I guess I need to see the rest of your team, but I'm not dropping a running back who's going to eventually see the volume that Najee Harris is going to.
Yeah, it depends on how deep the league is. I'm not fretting yet. But I mean, if you need a tight end, you got to make a tough call. Like it is what it is. So I'd like to think that maybe there's somebody else on the roster outside of Najee Harris that you could potentially drop to get somebody to replace Kittle.
Who had I guess that's the bone to start.
The nuts.
The nuts.
To start Tet and Golden over Jacoby, Breece, Olave, Etienne, and lose by 2.5.
That hurts.
This guy, Junior, ouch.
You'll get there.
Yeah, one day we'll get you there. Connor says thoughts on Breece Hall after week 1. I don't know if he will score a single touchdown this year with Allen and Fields in the backfield, but he didn't look bad. He got a lot of usage.
I was just going to say, I don't agree with that at all. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I've got thoughts on Breece Hall coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Any concern about specific players, or is it just week 1?
That's the next segment.
We are bringing that up right now. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe on this video, as well as head over to our Discord. Let's talk about the hangover, the biggest disappointment of the week. And whichever one of you guys want to start off, let me flip a coin here. Let's go with Ryan.
Yeah, I think Josh is about to answer a question in the chat, so I'll jump in here first. And this is more of an I told you so. And Jay, this is a tough show for me to have to do this because you and I haven't done a show together in a while. And last year,
wait. I need to cut you off and turn your. Are you fixing to bash me?
No, Jay. I was going to say last year, you and I were united in our love for Bryce Young. And I came into this season wanting to be on that train again, but I cover the Carolina Panthers, and I'm sure our listening audience is tired of hearing this. I cover the Carolina Panthers for Football Guys. The camp reports were terrible. Bryce Young did not look as good as he did to end last season. There was no consistency on offense. They wanted the run game to lead the offense, which we kind of saw, but the run game wasn't looking that good either. I had my concerns, and I got told to not have my concerns. I still kept them very poorly ranked for the week, and I am very, very glad that I did. And I think there are legitimate concerns here. A late game touchdown saved what could have been a disastrous week, and it was not good to begin with, but it could have been disastrous. Don't let that fool you. Before that touchdown pass, Bryce Young had 127 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Yes, Teteroa McMillan caught 6 balls for 30-something yards. This is certainly not looking like the draft steal that we all thought he was going to be, and I mean fantasy draft steal, not NFL draft steal. And I still believe in this offense eventually. I don't know if it's going to be later this season or this season at all. 3 turnovers, 2 punts. They allowed a sack. And I think the part that cannot be ignored here, this Jacksonville defense is awful. When is it going to get better than the Jacksonville defense? If they were going to pop, it was going to be this week. They didn't. I am legitimately concerned.
Look, it's week 1. I mean, there's some. I know. You had all the camp concerns and blah blah blah. Look, Dave Canales, he's the QB whisperer. He got Bryce Young back into moving parts and doing.
He better
well
start yelling
the end
instead of whispering.
Year, right? So maybe he just needs to stop whispering and start being more vocal. I think that's really what it boils down to. So I'm not fretting yet. Like I agree 100%. If you can't do it against Jacksonville, there's like our rule of thumb last year. If you can't run against Carolina, they just fucking drop you, right? Like that's what happens. So maybe that's the point going forward with this. But maybe there's also wow, we really fucking sucked. Let's work a little harder in practice and we see a turnaround. Like I think with this team in particular, because they are a young team, I'm not ready to bail on them yet simply because of that. Like there's going to be mode for, all right, we got to whip this into shape. We got to pick up the pace a little bit. Then you start getting some of these young kids to turn it around.
Yeah, I want to agree with you on one point that it is week 1. Ryan, calm down. Number 1. Number 2, is it Dave Canales or let's give Baker Mayfield a little bit of love. 8 offensive coordinators in 8 years and has made 3 of them head coaches. So let's, calm down on the coach being the quarterback whisperer. Maybe it's Baker Mayfield being the coach whisperer. Just throw that out there. Ryan, Josh, who's your other guy?
Well, less guy and more team. Kind of the flip side to this with, Ryan saying bail on a young team. I'm ready to bail on an older team. The Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa, they're legitimately in trouble. Like I talked about them in the offseason. I thought they would be a good bounce back team. Every move that they were making looked like they were trying to get back to where this team was a couple years ago, how effective they were as a passing game. When you look at the usage from this game, the only player I am not worried about is Devon Achane. Plain and simple. The usage was still there. Passing game, rush shares, all those things. I'm fine with him. He's going to get his because of how he fits within this scheme. Tua looked terrible. This team accounted for 133 passing yards when you factor in sacks. The offensive line, still a work in progress. I understand that they brought in some pieces. Maybe it's going to take a little bit of time to gel. But this offense centers around timing. And that's why Tua either looks really fucking good or really fucking bad. And this week, he looked really fucking bad because the timing was just straight up off. Tyreek Hill looked visibly frustrated on the sideline, which truly is nothing new. Jalen Waddle leaves, comes back. Both these guys had 4 catches apiece.
Yep.
That is not going to get it done, plain and simple.
Well, you're
targeting me. Go ahead.
You're targeting Malik Washington the same amount you're targeting Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
And that's a straight up problem for this offense. If Mike McDaniel lasts 5 games, I'm going to be legitimately shocked. He should not have been on the plane back to Miami after this game because it's becoming increasingly clear that this, aura that he has, this the eccentricities that he brings has completely worn off. And nobody is responding to him at all in this locker room. The Dolphins might need to blow it up. And I stress might because it's true. They need to blow it up.
Joe is not happy in the chat right now. He thinks I skipped his question, but I knew where this was going, so I had to throw it up during. But here's his problem: is he's out there playing banana ball, and he hasn't been able to yell at anybody in 6 weeks.
He'll be back on Wednesday night to yell at me and Ryan. It's okay.
You can yell on Wednesday. He said he left. Joe says he left Young on his bench. He hopes Caleb looks good tonight.
Can't look worse.
Yeah. The chat is going off right now about Bryce Young. Is he smaller than Kyler Murray?
He is actually.
I say, and these were the knocks when he came out, and they're all looking right. So
did he look dejected at the end of the game?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think so as well. And is there anybody else we need to talk about on this hangover? Because there was so many bad performances. Again, it's week 1. We don't want to,
Yeah, there was a comment asking if we should be worried about Matthew Golden. No, like there are certain players, one-offs, where you don't need to be worried about them right now. There was a drumbeat for me for Carolina. That's why I'm against Carolina. Josh is the other route. Josh thought Miami would look different than last year, and now they look the same as last year. These are the types of things you need to be disappointed by if there's a story to tell it. There's no story to tell us Matthew Golden is a disappointment. As Joel pointed out in the chat, they threw the ball 6 times in the second half. There are going to be different games.
Yeah.
No.
I'm loving this chat right now. It's kind of hard to keep track of what you guys are talking about when this chat is going off on Bryce Young and his size. The people are talking about their dogs.
I saw that.
Oh my. If you're enjoying this as much as I am, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Don't forget to jump over to our Discord. One more time, Josh, let's talk about Trophy Smack.
Absolutely. The fantasy football season is here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all your rewards. They have trophies, rings, and championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. And don't forget to show some love to your commissioner for the thankless job that they have. So hit the link in the description of this podcast and check out some of the swag that you can get for your commissioner, and let them know that they are at least the second most important person in the league behind you. Everything is available at trophysmack.com.
Yeah, I want to throw this up here for Connor. How much fab should he send on QJ? And I will answer this by find out tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mr. Maggie said he is a Bucks fan. He has a superstition of not drafting Buck players. I do not have that superstition, and I am a Buck fan as well. So, yeah, I'm not doing that. Let's get over to the shot of espresso. I believe that is where we are at. And I'm not sure which one you guys want to start this off, but I let Ryan start the last one. I'll let you do this one, Josh.
Yeah, for me, it is Breece Hall. I talked a lot about him in the preseason. People were really buying into the Braylon Allen hype. I was not disregarding the Braylon Allen hype, but again, this was going to be a derivative of that Detroit Lions offense. There was going to be plenty of room for both Hall and Allen and Justin Fields running the football. These splits are not anything crazy. Breece Hall accounted for a 48.7% rush share, added 4 targets, which equated to a 19% target share. He had 145 total yards on 21 touches. The knock here was that they scored 3 times inside the 10. Justin Fields twice inside the 5. Braylon Allen an 8-yard touchdown run. Breece Hall didn't get those. Guess what? That first year that Jahmyr Gibbs came in, he wasn't getting those touchdowns either and still scored 10-plus touchdowns. Yeah. The touchdowns will come for Breece Hall. Give it some time. He's still currently RB11 on the week. The usage is there. This is what we want. This is perfectly fine. He's going to be great because he is an exceptional talent. Plain and simple. And he did all this against a good Steelers defense. Let's remember that. So now when you put him against other teams that are on the schedule with not so great defenses, you're going to have a top 8, top 5 running back. Breece Hall, fantastic this week. Don't let the lack of touchdowns scare you.
Yeah, before I send it over to you, Ryan, I do want to jump in and throw a couple honorable mentions in here that I missed. I absolutely missed. Keon Coleman, excellent day, even though that was a fluke touchdown, it still counts for fantasy football. MBK, another rookie that just showed out. Keenan Allen found the fountain of youth. JSN is the only guy catching balls out there in Seattle. Debo, we talked about Pierce a little bit ago, and ETN is absolutely RB1 in Jacksonville.
I told Josh I missed my 2 touchdown bet of the week. We're all used to that. I'll get one right eventually. But Josh asked me why I didn't pick on the Carolina Panthers, which was a theme last year. I said, well, I didn't know which running back was going to do it. Turns out I don't think any of them scored a touchdown, but it didn't matter because Travis Etienne went the fuck off, which was awesome to see. So.
Yep, but you have I don't even know what to call this guy.
I have to. Look, I jumped onto this hype train very quickly. My Club Fantasy Listener League team is named after Bill Croskey-Merritt. So when he goes out and does what he does, I have to give him some credit here. So my shot of espresso is Bill. I went into this game. I was apprehensive when they named Austin Eckler the starter because I also like Austin Eckler. And I'm like, oh, are they going to lean on the veteran and work him in sort of like RJ Harvey, like we were talking about? That is not what happened. So Austin Eckler, I think, finished the game with 6 carries. 5 of those 6 carries, maybe in the first quarter, certainly in the first half. After halftime, this was Bill. I don't care who the starter is. Bill is the finisher. It was a close game, and I think that matters. This was a game where you would tend to lean on a veteran. In blowouts, it's probably going to be better for Eckler. But in close games and now games where they're ahead, and I think there's going to be plenty of games where Washington is ahead, it's Bill Croskey-Merritt all day long. And I think we need to be very serious about what that means. 10 carries this game for 82 yards. However, it's actually 9 for 40 in that big 42-yard run he busted out. 9 for 40 is still over 4 yards per carry. And then he showed you that he can take the ball a long way when it comes down to it. Plus, he found the end zone. Let me be clear. No targets in the passing game. And that's what's leading me to my question for you two. I love the kid, but I understand fantasy football. With his non-usage in the passing game, and Chris Molina, a friend of ours who knows Bill from college, doesn't know him, but followed Bill in college, said he will not be involved in the passing game. Is this a trade opportunity? Should we be looking to trade up to running backs who may be disappointed this week with one Bill Croskey-Merritt, Josh and Jay?
I mean, so basically he's Brian Robinson Jr., just more efficient, right? Like that to me. So he's a bottom end RB2. Like, I don't know that I love that. It is what it is, but sure. I mean, I just feel like you're going to end up paying more for an RB2 than you should simply because everybody's so hyped about him.
No, that's what I'm saying. So if you own him, you should trade him away then.
I would, yeah.
I'd
be looking to capitalize on the hype, truthfully.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal of fantasy, right? You got this guy that you don't think is going to continue to do this. You get rid of him and go find somebody that you think is.
Well, let me run a scenario by you.
Not saying this would be a trade that would happen, but Bill for Braylon Allen.
See, I wouldn't do that at all. But let me ask you this one, and I know you guys are going to just yell at me and tell me to work this immediately. In my home league, it's a 3-keeper league. I am a little rough at running back. However, I do have Christian McCaffrey. I have Aaron Jones, who I hope is pretty decent tonight. And I have RJ Harvey. So Bill is expendable. And the Jamar Chase manager is panicking. And I think I could throw Devontae Adams and Bill and maybe a draft pick and get Jamar Chase.
I'm gonna do that all day. Now, if I'm like, if it's for a 2 or 3 tier drop from Jamar Chase, I'll probably hang on to Bill at that point. But
okay,
bye, Bill.
Yeah, I don't know why I struggle with it. It's just when I fall in love with these players and then they're actually good, I always trade them away.
You see, and I asked this question to you yesterday, and you don't have an NFL team that you cheer for. You cheer for your fantasy team, and you cheer for this one guy.
I do every year. I fall in love with one guy.
You just don't want to let him go. Joe says Tyreek Hill is the third best receiver in NFL scouts.
That was actually a segment Joe and I did during the preseason where the NFL had announced the top 10 wide receivers, and it was the worst list that we had ever seen ever. And Hill was third on that list. So
Tua is. This is why I can't do a show with Joe. I would just be laughing the whole damn time. You two clowns are I don't know how you do it on a Wednesday night with him. And he's the perfect.
That's why our 60-minute shows turn into 90-minute extravaganzas.
Exactly.
He is the perfect guy for the bananas. Another question: how inflated are the Bills skill players' numbers after that feast?
Yeah, I'll let you guys jump in on this because you obviously saw the end of the game. I think Keon Coleman is going to get oversold this week. I think people are a little bit too excited for Keon Coleman.
Josh, we kind of hit on this Saturday, right? And I was off of Keon Coleman this week. The main reason being is I did this last year with Keon Coleman, and I put it out there that, if Josh Allen's going to trust him, then I'm going to trust him. And like for the next 4 weeks, he didn't even know that the football went through the air. It was non-existent. So I was still kind of on him, and I'm still probably there. I'm going to have to see this like 4 or 5 weeks in a row that he's going to be that heavily involved and targeted.
Yeah, I look at it a couple different ways. So I'll use the Saints as an example because Jauan Johnson right now is the tight end 1, right? Okay, cool. The top 2 tight ends after week 1 were Isaiah Likely and Foster Moreau last year. They did absolutely nothing. Why was Jauan Johnson tight end 1? Because Spencer Rattler threw the ball 46 times. Here we go with the Bills game. Josh Allen, how many times is he going to throw the football 46 times this year? This is a really good team, defense and offense. They're not going to play offensive juggernauts like the Baltimore Ravens every single week. Keon Coleman, 11 targets. Khalil Shakir, 9 targets. Josh Palmer, 9 targets. How is this target tree going to look when Josh Allen is only throwing the football 30 times or 25 times? Because James Cook is running so many times, right? I talked about in the preseason, James Cook is going to regress in touchdowns, but his target share is going to increase. He had 5 catches this week. There's going to be a lot of different things that play into this. The touchdown was very fluky, 100%. You love that there's 8 for 111 otherwise, right? So I'm not going to jump so into this like Keon Coleman love because I don't know what the target share is going to look like. If I have Coleman, I will definitely listen to some offers, because I do think that there's going to be weeks where he pops, but I think there's going to be weeks that Josh Palmer pops or Khalil Shakir pops or even James Cook pops. Dalton Kincaid caught the first touchdown this week. So like there's a lot of different variables that I think go into this Bills offense, that it's going to be a smorgasbord of fantasy production, and it's going to be a guessing game week to week of who that number 1 option is going to be.
By the way, I heard a stat 8 minutes into the Packers game, I'm sure Joel heard this as well, that Jordan Love 8 minutes into the game had already thrown to 8 receivers.
That's this Bills offense in a nutshell.
I'm going to whip through the chat real quick. We've only got a few more minutes, and we still got a little bit left on the show sheet. So Joe says, can we talk about how he was with Brian Burns? Yes, very nice job there. 2 sacks for him. Streaming quarterbacks moving forward, and A-Rod.
Brian, that's
trust.
Yep, I put an article every Thursday out about streaming quarterbacks, and I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers will be there way more often than I thought he would a week ago. So
Joel says, let's not be silly. We all know the Chiefs are going to bring back Sammy Watkins,
but it's already past week 1. It's already past week 1. It does it. He's bad now.
Yes. Caesar, shout out to y'all. Help me trade for Breece Hall and Tyler Warren this offseason. Great job. Have we talked about the best team in Florida? We have, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are not talking about the worst team in Florida right now. We're going to move on. ETN with Liam Coleman is going to be fun.
Woo!
Again, we're not going to talk about the South Florida Bulls on this show.
You don't get the Panthers every week. I'll just throw that out there for the Jaguars fans.
Let's get into one of the final segments here. And we're going to tell everybody it is week 1. Chill the fuck out. Josh.
Yeah, for me, it's Bo Nix. Look at his rookie season last year. He had 4 interceptions in the first 2 games and then didn't throw another one until week 6. I'm chalking this up to some early season jitters where he felt he could make a play against a bad defense. Truth be told, these are the games that you want to try to make those plays because it's a bad team, plain and simple. Yeah. Then you go back, you watch the tape, you figure out where you fucked up, and you move on to the next one when it does count. And again, these games do count. I get that, but let's be honest. It's the Titans. They picked number 1 overall.
So you also won. So.
And they won. So you can look at this and say, all right, maybe this is a throw I don't make against the Chiefs or don't make against the Chargers, right? That's how you correct mistakes. I'm not worried about Bo Nix. He'll be fine. I'm more pissed off because he missed his rushing prop by like 1 freaking yard. And that really kind of hurt. So it's fucking kneel downs.
Get you every time.
Yeah, that's
I struggled with this because I am worried about a lot of the duds because of how good a lot of people played. So I am concerned for a few people where I couldn't come out and be like, don't be concerned. But I'm going to take the 3 that you definitely should not be panicking on. And I honestly don't think a lot of people are panicking. But the 3 wide receiver ones that had terrible days, A.J. Brown, Nico Collins, Jamar Chase. It is a bad week, starting with the Bengals. Burrow specifically, but Cincinnati struggles early in the season against Cleveland. Every year, certainly when the game is in Cleveland. I'm not worried about that one. A.J. Brown, as we talked about earlier in the show, it's a hamstring injury. He's still recovering. I have some questions about this offense in general, but we could talk about that at some other time. I will say that Nico Collins, I think the Rams pass rush made things tough for Houston. And so I think he's going to need a little bit better offensive line play. But fact of the matter is this, I also think getting Christian Kirk in there, there's no second option for anyone to be worried about in that offense. Certainly now with Nick Chubb, a very one-dimensional running back as the running back, there needs to be somebody else. You can't just continually force the ball to Nico Collins and have him succeed. I think all of this gets better as the season goes. I don't think any of you are panicking if you're watching the show right now. Don't. And if Joel already yelled at me in the chat. If you find someone in your league willing to trade Jamar Chase, go fucking get Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I had that one started because I was going to bring that up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I saw it.
Yep. Joe, right back with it. The name is Ja'Cory, right? He goes by Bill. That's a red flag.
That's hilarious.
Mom gives you a banging name and you go by Bill.
I literally, me and Joe are way too similar. I said the exact same thing. I'm like, Ja'Cory is the coolest name and you're going to go by Bill?
McLaurin thoughts after a poor week 1. Is that somebody else?
He missed all of training camp in a contract holdout.
So this is one of the, I'm not worried, but I am worried for the next month because this is his preseason. So,
and that's why I like Debo this week. We had some start-sit questions, and I was like, look, I think Debo's got some upside this week. He spent all training camp with Jaden Daniels and without Terry McLaurin. Like, Daniels was going to rely on him. He had a pretty damn good first week.
Fields or Knicks rest of season? Again, we're talking about week 1.
You don't play this rest of the season. You play this by the matchup. But Fields look good against a tough matchup. It's not going to be bad for Knicks. For the foreseeable future, I'm going Fields. I brought this up earlier, and obviously there was some minor pushback, but the more he plays, the less this is a worry. Justin Fields is not getting benched this year like he has in the past. That rushing upside is going to constantly be there. I would go Fields of these two, and I love Bo Nix. So
I personally do think that Fields could get benched if he struggles, but
we had this fight already.
Based on how he looked, that probably won't come to fruition. Look, you're still going to play it week to week. Honestly, if you're asking me about like points per game versus rest of season, I would go out on a limb and say that Fields probably has the higher points per game, but Knicks will have the better overall season because I think he'll ultimately end up playing more games.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm going to send this directly to you because this is a defensive question here. So what's the number 1 defense?
They actually clarified it, and this is a tough question after 1 week, but I think it's not much change. What they're clarifying is who should you be looking to play a team against? And I think it's pretty well the same as it was a few weeks ago. I think Tennessee could have some struggles, maybe not as much as they did against the Denver defense, but I'm not afraid to target Tennessee still with a rookie quarterback. Carolina and Cleveland. Joe Flacco is still Joe Flacco. Neither of those 2 interceptions yesterday were on him. but he will throw some that are on him, and the receivers are giving the ball away. Carolina is certainly a target. We can fight about that on a different day. I love that Arizona got to start the season against New Orleans, and now they get to go to Carolina. I don't care that the Arizona defense didn't look great against New Orleans. I'm still starting defenses against New Orleans and Spencer Rattler. He's going to turn the ball over. Those would be my big ones. I wouldn't necessarily pick on anybody else, but Carolina, Cleveland, New Orleans, Tennessee, and as Josh pointed out, probably Miami if they don't get their shit together. You want to target defenses playing those 5 teams.
Yeah, Miami. I mean, that I talked about this, that both, I thought the Colts defense would look a lot worse, but I don't know if that was just a product of Miami's offense looking like it belonged in Pop Warner football. But, I target the Dolphins defense. They have 0 in that secondary. Minka Fitzpatrick is washed. I'm sorry. Like, he's just not.
No.
And even when even if you are good and you're surrounded by scrubs, you're going to look worse than you are.
Yeah, but no, what he's saying is, should he target defenses playing
That's
Miami?
what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
Target the offenses that are playing Miami.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
All right, one more real quick. And I know you guys will get to this tomorrow. Drop Thornton for Butte, QJ, or Robinson.
I love Deontay Thornton. I will drop him for all 3 of those players right now.
Yeah, Thornton's a long, deep season play. He's not a now player. Like Kayshon Boutte, I would be fine with right now. I would probably prioritize Johnson, Boutte, then Robinson. I think Robinson in PPR is great, but he doesn't offer any more upside outside of catching passes. QJ is going to be a touchdown guy for them. Boutte, I think, could be a volume play, and I like that with some touchdown upside. So
let's get into the last segment, and that is going to be tonight's game. Josh, we've got Minnesota at Chicago. Minnesota's favored by 1.5. This is as of Saturday. I haven't even looked and seen if they've updated the line yet. 1.5 is the over under. 43.5 is the spread. And I'm going to give you one of my plays. The rest of it will go into Discord. So if you want to see the whole card, you'll go over to Discord. You can do that. It is free, as Ryan likes to say. It is 100% free. We do not charge for that at all.
And it is ready to be published as soon as the show is over.
So we'll have the card will go in, as well as a quick write-up on all of them. But I have Caleb Williams higher than a half of a fumble lost. The Vikings led the NFL in blitz rate last year at 38.5%. Williams had a QBR of 56.4 versus the blitz. It's Monday night, and he was held in check all 3 primetime games last year. Brian Flores' defense is going to be aggressive, relentless, and is going to be designed to make Williams make mistakes. He did that 10 times last year where he fumbled, lost 5 of them, including 1 against Minnesota. His last 5 games, he fumbled 6 times, lost 3 of them. I see Flores dialing up the pressure. He's going to cough up at least 1. Again, that full card that I have will be published over on in the Discord. But guys, any lines for tonight that you are hanging your hat on?
Oh, I wasn't sure if we were still doing this segment or if this was just going to be a J segment, but there was one line I really wanted to talk about, and that is DeAndre Swift over or higher than 14.5 receiving yards. This feels free to me. I went and looked. Swift last year, and not this offense, hit 15 receiving yards 10 times. In this offense, Jahmyr Gibbs hit 15 receiving yards 13 times last year. There are no other backs in Chicago to catch passes. This Ben Johnson's offense is going to throw to their running backs. DeAndre Swift is probably going to have 15 yards at halftime.
Yeah, for mine, I took Cole Kmet higher than 11.5 receiving yards. I think the love for Colston Loveland, obviously being a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, is certainly high. This team's going to run a lot of 12 personnel. Both Kmet and Loveland are going to be on the field at the same time. 11.5 yards, that's 1 12-yard catch. He can very easily hit this on 1 catch. And how this offense operates, how Ben Johnson operates, throwing the football down the field, that's a very high likelihood that this will happen. I don't really have much else to add outside of that. So it's a pretty easy line, honestly.
Yeah, the one thing I will add is, one thing you just brought up, and it's something I like to look at, especially when I'm looking at these props over on Underdog, is, and I've said this to both of you guys, especially Ryan. Ryan's like, oh shit, that makes so much sense. Is I try to find the plays that you can hit it in one play.
Yep.
Even if it takes to the end of the game, it's done in one play. I don't have to worry about chasing 75 yards or whatnot.
Such a good point.
Again, that'll all be posted over in the Discord for you guys to check out the actual card. Quick little blurb on every single one of those props that I've got going on over there. Man, what a great show! What a great way to get back. Thank you to the Bills and Ravens for giving us a great lead into our first Monday's Hangxiety of 2025. Josh, Ryan, any last words for anybody?
No, I think we have one more chat question if we want to knock that out.
A couple of them,
the
Oh, did I miss him? Oh, you start him and I didn't see him. Let's go right here. Hey, guys, I'm in a small league. Ended up with McBride and Andrews at tight end. Do I drop Andrews for bench space?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing with small leagues is it's okay to be like, wow, I got to drop a stud. Shit, I can't do that. No, yes, you can in smaller leagues. You don't need 2 tight ends. The only time you'll need a backup in a smaller league like this is week 8 when Trey McBride is on a bye, or God forbid, knock on wood, that there's an injury. Andrews is very expendable in this instance.
Yep.
Now, obviously, if you can trade him, that's better. But
yeah, one catch for 5 yards, the market might not be very strong right now. So
exactly, it's okay to drop him.
Quincy says, "Do you trade Derrick Henry for Jamar Chase?"
I don't trade running backs for wide receivers. They are both elite. I'll keep Derrick Henry.
Depends on what my other running backs look like, but if I'm moving a running back, I'm going to get the wide receiver 1, plain and simple. So.
There's that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I am. As much as I would love to have Jamar Chase, the 170 yards that I'm going to get on the ground, I feel like is quite a bit better than the.
If the two are equal, I will always lean running back, and right now they seem pretty fucking equal.
Are they though? I think Henry's way up.
Well, there's that. Yeah, I guess I'm talking the whole season, not after 1 week.
We're only talking about 1 week here. All right. Yeah. So, well, the end of the show is here. We've gone over a little bit, but I think we did exactly what Josh wanted to do, is kind of narrow it down just a little bit. Don't forget, I'm only going to bring up the shows that are coming up, and that's going to be tomorrow. Ryan and Josh get together at 11 a.m. for the wiretap. That is the Waiver Wire show. And then tomorrow evening, you got Sam Holt and Derek Tate jumping in over on the WAF channel. I believe that is also simulcast right here in the Club Fantasy side with Sideline Banter, looking ahead at week 2. Guys, awesome show. Greatly appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, outstanding job today. Josh, Ryan, we'll see y'all next week. Enjoy football.